Are you listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other platform where you can leave a rate or review? Do you like what we're doing? If the answer to all of that is yes, please consider quickly giving us a 5-star rate. And if you wouldn't mind leaving us a nice review, we greatly appreciate that as well. Okay, let's do this.
Hello, welcome to the Ghosts of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm Mackelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 304 of our chapter-by-chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Today we'll be discussing chapter 32 of A Dance with Dragons, which is Reek 3.
And as always, we'll chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you. Unless, of course, you have a Buy Me a Coffee Sustainer tier that includes spoilers, and now it's at a new, even lower rate. So go check that out if you have it. If you have that, then we will spoil things for you, but regardless, hopefully we'll provide you some entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what happened, discuss our thoughts on it, and provide some useful background, compare it to the television show, indulge a little pedantry, and cover some relevant news and listener correspondence. Be sure to check out the show notes. They'll provide some additional information about the characters and other things in this chapter. How are you, Mackelly?
I'm doing well. I'm doing all right. We had a nice long weekend, you and I.
We did, yes.
This
3-day
past
weekends.
weekend.
I could live with those. I can almost face 4-day weeks after 3-day weekends.
That's right. I was talking to a friend of ours at work who doesn't live here in the States. She lives in the UK.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yes. And we were talking about work stuff and just life. And she asked me how my long weekend was. And I said, it was good. It was really good. I can't remember anything about it off the top of my head, but it was really good. And so we chatted for, I don't know, like 20 more minutes or so. And then out of the blue, I blurt, my anniversary! My wedding anniversary was this past weekend.
as long as you forget about it after the fact, that's okay. As long as you don't forget about it at the time, that's the critical part.
Yes, we had a really nice dinner and everything. I totally blanked on on the fact that it happened over this long weekend. While we were there, so we went to this restaurant that's at the top of the roof of a tall building downtown, and we check in with the hostess, and she says, would you like indoor or outdoor seating? Because it has both. And she said, just to forewarn you, my outdoor seating is primarily in the sun at the moment. And without a beat, Stacy says, oh, we can't do that. He's bald. And I was like, oh, well, thank you for speaking for me. It's true. But
in case you hadn't noticed, attractive young lady, he's bald.
Right. So,
ouch.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mm.
But it was nice. We had a really nice dinner. I'll recommend the place to you.
All right. Sounds good.
How about you?
Good. I have a story from the weekend too, actually. We, because it was a 3-day weekend, we felt we could go out, and we went.
Right.
We went to a nearby town called Apex, where we had a very nice dinner, and then we went to see a band. And the reason we went to see this band was, well, partly because they were playing 90s indie covers, and that's my kind of thing, so I was good with that. Yeah. But one of the members of the band was a colleague from work who I play soccer with, and he sent out an email to the soccer community saying, hey, I'm playing at this bar on Saturday, come along. So I went along, and he and I aren't particularly close, although he's a big Song of Ice and Fire fan, so he has been listening to the podcast.
Oh, all right.
But I like him. We're just not particularly close. We just don't have, I see him at soccer, and that's it.
I like him now too. Yeah,
so you should. But I sat at the bar, and the band could see where we were, and like when he finished his first song after I arrived, he was like, "Oh, Simon, hey!" Sort of like into the microphone and like the whole place. So I was like, a little bit more of a reaction than I was looking for. But it was genuine and kind of him to be excited that I'd come out to his place.
Pretty cool.
All very nice. But there were two singers, him and the next guy. And the next guy kind of played along. He went, "Hey, Simon!" And I was like, "Oh, okay."
I don't know this guy, but go on.
But that's the thing. It turned out that I did know him.
Whoops.
And Carson said to me, she said, "I think he knows you." I was like, "No, he's just playing along, No, it was a guy that we used to work with, Brendan.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And
I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah, neither did I. And I was like, good grief. And then, would you believe, there's only 4 guys in this band. The bass player is the bass player for my neighbour Alex's band. So I've seen him before too.
Wow.
And then
wonder.
The drummer, it turned out to be my long-lost twin brother. Okay, now I'm exaggerating. But
well, we do know a local drummer. I thought you were going to go there.
Yeah, it could have been, yes. So yeah, it was a very strange sort of. Suddenly, I knew this entire band. I got all this distance, and I knew them all.
Oh wow! How about that? I guess you are like their official mascot or something.
Apparently, they were very good too. They had good song choices, and they played them very well. It was an enjoyable evening.
All right, good stuff. And you remember it, unlike me and my 26th wedding.
Only because it's written here under witty banter.
Right.
I wouldn't have remembered this to save my life.
Yeah, it did seem odd that you would remember something like that, and I had forgotten. Roll of Freaky Friday.
The other story I was going to tell was from today. Actually, I played soccer at lunchtime today, and I pulled off one of the best soccer moves I've ever done in my life. Like, it was. I had to run towards the sideline chasing the ball, and then stand on the ball and pull a 270-degree turn and race down the line to get away from this guy who's really good at soccer. And I executed it to perfection. I mean, this was he IM'd me afterwards and he said that was an incredible move. What he didn't include was that because of the length of the grass, the ball didn't come with me, and I stood on the ball and fell flat on my face doing it. But it was very close to being very good.
Oh, man, there's cameras everywhere. You telling me nobody has video footage of this?
The worst thing was, it was just before the end of the game, so all 22 of the guys waiting to come on the field were right there. Every one of them. I was like, oh, great.
That's when it had to happen, of course.
Yeah. So with my humiliation fresh in your ears, let's get down to business, shall we?
We shall.
How did we leave Reek? Well, last we saw of Reek, he was semi-unwittingly luring his countrymen out of Moat Cailin with empty promises of safe passage, which were not delivered. Yep. With the way north now clear, Reek and Ramsay are joined by Ramsay's father, Roose Bolton. His entourage includes Ramsay's new fiancée, Arya Stark. Only, while Reek might believe that it's Arya Stark, Theon Greyjoy knows for a fact that that kid is Jane Poole.
Aha.
Mackelly, why don't we give a summary of this one?
All right. Well, Reek wakes to the sound of dogs and riders returning to Barrowton. Well, specifically to Goldgrass Keep, the seat of Harwood Stout, just inside the east gate of the town. Lady Barbrey Dustin has decreed that Ramsay cannot enter her castle, Barrow Hall. Reek's legs are chained, limiting him to a shuffle, but he scrambles anyway because Ramsay is home and Ramsay will want him. Reek counts the same number of riders as were in the outbound party, so the hunt brought back no missing Freys, only a severed head Ramsay flings at Reek as a joke. It's crusted with dried blood and maggots. Reek fumbles it with his ruined fingers, and the men laugh.
Big Walda and Little Walda Frey ride with Ramsay. Little Walda has become Ramsay's protégé and his personal cupbearer. Little Walda commands Reek to tend to his horse, as does Ramsay, but Reek ignores the Frey. Big Walda is a different sort of boy and tends to his own horse. Reek asks him if they found the missing Freys. Big Walda says no. Most likely Wyman Manderley killed them. That's what he would have done if he were Manderley. The rotting head belonged to a peasant man who mistakenly referred to Ramsay as Lord Snow.
Oh, that's a no-no.
No. Yep.
Ramsay throws himself a lavish feast at Lord Stout's keep to mark his return. Stout's cook thinks that although Ramsay will bed Ned's daughter, it's they who will be screwed when the winter comes. The Bolton men are eating through their winter stores. During the feast, the dogs run free while Reek sits chained by the door. The dogs provide the entertainment, as 2 of Ramsay's dogs kill one of Stout's over a bone.
Lord Roose Bolton arrives with his guard, and the whole room goes still. Ramsay welcomes his father jovially, but Roose whispers a simple "out," and the hall clears. Ramsay wants Reek unchained and removed, but Roose commands that the captive remain. Once it's just the 3 of them, Roose begins with the missing Freys. Rhaegar and his cousins vanished on the road. Ramsay scoffs. The world won't miss a few Freys. There are always more at the Twins. Roose says that Wyman Manderley is distraught, or so he claims. He feels at fault for the slow pace of his caravan, which led to the Freys riding on ahead. Roose admits he does not fully buy the story.
Ramsay complains that the welcome feast should have been thrown by his father at Barrow Hall. But Roose reminds him Lady Dustin despises Ramsay. She blames him for the death of Roose's son Domeric. Ramsay spits threats of flaying and boots made from her skin, which only earns a sigh from his father. Roose explains that Lady Barbrey is his second wife's sister, and kin to the Ryswells. Ramsay's threats would cost them much if they lost their support.
Roose tells Ramsay that he's a Bolton now and needs to act like it. He hears rumours everywhere of Ramsay's behaviour. Roose will not chide his son for his sources of entertainment. However, he must be more discreet. No stories have ever been told about Roose. He expects the same from Ramsay. The talk turns to the Stark boys. Ramsay blusters that the wolves are dead, and if they show their faces, he will kill them again. Roose is quick to point out that it was Theon Turncloak who killed them, not you. Ramsay's careless mouth could undo the alliances that Roose has so carefully built. Roose adds that fear is not the same as power. Discretion is the true key. A peaceful land, a quiet people. That's always been my rule. Make it yours.
We'll be right back.
Hello, friends. Are you ready to make some unforgettable memories? Well, if so, consider the Marriott Bonvoy program. Discover the perfect destination for your summer getaway and unlock exclusive deals on luxurious accommodations. With our affiliate partnership, you'll enjoy unbeatable savings and a seamless booking experience. Don't let summer slip away. Visit Marriott Bonvoy today and make this vacation season one for the books. Use our Ghosts of Harrenhal affiliate page to check it all out and buy Bonvoy points or give some as a gift. The link to our page is in the show notes. Finally, Roose delivers the tidings Ramsay craves. Stannis has left the wall. Ramsay leaps at the idea of marching on him, but Roose squashes it. Stannis did not march on the Dreadfort as they planned, despite Arnulf Karstark baiting the trap. Instead, he has taken Deepwood Motte and rallied the mountain clans. Ramsay wants a wedding at once to claim his bride and plant his heir, but Roose insists it must be a Winterfell. Even ruined, Winterfell remains the seat of House Stark. Wed there in Ramsay's claim will have the veneer of legitimacy. It also forces Stannis to come to them and call his allies, such as the Karstarks.
Roose wants Reek unchained. He has use of him if he has not been ruined. Ramsay fights it but begrudgingly concedes. While removing the chains, he whispers to Reek to not reveal anything and to report every word Roose says. Oh, and he will take another finger when Reek returns. The unfairness of that brings tears to Reek's eyes.
On their ride to Barrow Hall, Roose peels back Ramsay's past. Roose tells Reek of how he found Ramsay's mother at a mill with her husband. Having been denied first right when the pair were married, he hanged the miller and raped the woman. He tells of the first Reek, a man with an awful odor the Roose sent to attend the bastard son he got on the woman. It was meant as a joke, but the two became inseparable.
When Reek points out that Ramsay is his only son, Roose obliquely and coldly speaks of his trueborn son, Domeric. Roose outright says that he believed that Ramsay poisoned Domeric when Domeric discovered Ramsay's existence and tried to form a sibling relationship. He expects that Ramsay will do the same with any future children Roose has with his new Frey wife. Roose feels that is for the best. He's too old to see another heir to adulthood.
Roose offers Reek a bath and a change of clothes, but Reek refuses. Reek knows that Ramsay would not want him to do either. Roose concedes, so when they arrive at Barrow Hall, he presents Reek as he is to Lady Barbrey. She questions who this horribly smelling old man is. Where is the boy he promised her? Roose says that this is the rightful lord of the Iron Islands, Theon of House Greyjoy. Reek falls to his knees in tears and trembling. There must be some mistake. He is not this man Theon. His name is Reek. It rhymes with freak.
Yeah, so just one thing. Don't you think it's a little bit inconsistent? Reek can behave like Theon. He did it in the last chapter.
Yeah.
it just feels a little bit inconsistent to not be able to. I mean, I guess Ramsay is not telling him to, and maybe that's what he needs. He needs a command from Ramsay.
Yes, there is a difference there.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be the difference.
So maybe, yes, I undo that pedantry. Pretend you never heard this, listener.
It's definitely something worth discussing. I agree. It does seem like it doesn't fit, but
so you've written something controversial as the first discussion point, and I want to justify your position.
All right. My what I have written here is that the Boltons are the anti-Starks.
Okay.
And so they're kind of like, we spent 5 hours playing that Dune game, so it made me think of the Harkonnens and the Atreides. I'm not sure if I said those names exactly right.
Yes, very good. Yeah.
Okay. They're for starters, they have two very different views on ruling. The Starks are strict but benevolent. They treat lords and small folk alike with respect. But they do lay down the law when necessary. They're all about family and honor, ultimately to the detriment of Ned and Cat over Jon. Ned could have just not bothered to acknowledge Jon, but instead he brought him into his home. While the Boltons, on the other hand, they abuse power, rule through fear, do as they please with no regard for humanity and respect for others. Now, Roose is smart enough to know that opinion matters, so he does a significantly better job at hiding his awfulness than Ramsay. But as he talks in this chapter, you realize what a monster he actually is. And, for one thing, there's a couple things, especially at the beginning of the chapter, that made me think, oh, this is a great example. Ben Bones, I think that's his name, the kennel master at the Dreadfort, told Reek that all of Ramsay's dogs are named after women that he hunted and raped and killed, at least the ones that gave him a good chase. And Reek thinks, well, in the next litter, I know there'll be a Kyra. And I was thinking, it's no better depicted than that thought right there, that these are the same women that were once under the protection of Ned Stark, these women from Winterfell, and now they're hunted like prey at the Dreadfort.
Now, okay, so let me take a counterpoint, if I may.
Oh, right.
I don't wholeheartedly disagree, but for the sake of conversation, I will amp up my disagreement. Do you not think that you are slightly influenced in your opinion of the Boltons by Ramsay? Because there's definitely some evil in Roose, no question about it. But quite a lot of what certainly what he tells Ramsay is actually the kind of thing Ned Stark would tell him.
Well, but I think what Roose is telling Ramsay is, you can be horrible and depraved, just do it on the down low, like how he raped Ramsay's mother under the swinging body of her husband after he hanged him.
Yeah, that's the one Roosism in here that's inescapably evil right there. The rest of it, to be honest, he was an ambitious lord who took his opportunity. But you're right. His claiming of first rights is that's just not a good look for anyone. The rest of it, he's just an ambitious lord, it seems to me, with a rotten son. But you are right. Ned would beat out of a child the kind of predilections that Ramsay shows. No question about it. He would send him to the wall. He would literally send that child to the wall, male or female.
Right. Yeah, that's true. He
at
might,
4.
Yeah. When he's a man grown. Once he's officially a man grown at 4. Did you notice that Ramsay's mantle, when they got back from riding, was made of wolf skins and clasped with a wolf's head? And I just thought, the anti-Starks, he's got a dead wolf around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Audible. To get a free audiobook, or 2 if you're an Amazon Prime member, go to our exclusive URL, audibletrial.com/ghostsharrenhal. You can find the link in our show notes.
Although I bet Starks over the centuries have worn wolf skins, you know.
Yeah, I wonder.
Because it's probably warm in winter, and
It is. It is, but maybe they would stick to bears or
true enough,
deer hide, something like that.
So we lost track of the Walda boys, the two Waldas for a while. They were at Winterfell when it was sacked, right?
Yes.
And we haven't seen them since, basically, have we?
We saw them at the Dread Fort. They're the ones that went and got Reek.
They got
out of
Reek
his
from the
cell.
Yes, that's right. So worryingly, well, actually, it's again full marks to George Martin for the subtlety of not having these just be cookie cutters. It's very easy to make these two sides of the same coin, but in actual fact, the smaller one, Big Walda, is turning out to be quite sympathetic. He talks to Reek and actually exchanges information with Reek. Little Walda throws him the reins to his horse and tells him to deal with it. And Little Walda is becoming a mini Ramsay, which is not good news for anybody anywhere north of. I was going to say north of the neck, but he might go back south of the neck into the Twins. So.
Right.
The Riverlands and the North may suffer from this.
Yeah. Now, Little Walda is Roose's good brother because he is the youngest full sibling of Fat Walda, of Roose's wife, which does make him Ramsay's step good uncle, I guess.
Okay.
In a way.
And which of the two was that?
Little Walda.
That's Little Walda, okay. Yeah.
Ramsay's unfortunately his protege at the moment.
Right.
So maybe it's the whole family connection that Little Walda is feeling. This is my step good nephew here, so I need to I need to follow closely in his footsteps.
So the same number of riders come back from the hunt as went out, so they didn't find the 3 Freys that they were looking for. That's Reek's supposition and is confirmed by Big Walda. But a head was thrown to him, so there was one person found. Turns out it was just a guy with some goats who called Ramsay Lord Snow, which until Ramsay was legitimized in the previous chapter would have been a term of respect for him.
Yeah.
And news probably hadn't reached this goat herd.
Exactly. I thought the same thing. He just was trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
But sadly, there's not much to say about anti-Stark Ramsay killing this random man for calling him Lord Snow.
Yeah.
Hunting women, flaying Ironborn, torturing Theon. It just fits. It just tracks. It's terrible, but unfortunately it does.
So Ramsay was hunting the 3 missing Freys for 16 days, which really shows how long Lord Mackelly is taking to get to. Where's he trying to get to? He's trying to get to Barrowton.
Yeah.
Which isn't even that far from White Harbour, really.
It's not that far.
They went missing. Raven was sent to Barrowton to say they've gone missing. The hunt went out for 16 days. Still no sign of Mackelly.
Unless Manderley
a journey
arrived.
of that length, he needs that much food.
That's true.
Cause and effect. It's a chicken and egg situation, of which he would eat both.
It's possible, I guess, that Wyman got to Barrowton and said, "Where are the Freys that rode ahead of me?" And
they said, but you'd have thought he would appear in this chapter if he was here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't. That's he. Oh well, was his sigil seen flying around Barrow Hall? Remember,
but I thought
Reek was seeing all.
I
those.
thought Roose and Ramsay were talking about how long it was taking him. Like he wasn't there yet, but maybe I misremember. Nevertheless, it's not an important point. I don't feel.
Right.
Big Walda is absolutely sure that Wyman Manderley has killed those 3 Freys, and given that he's a Frey, you might expect him to be a little less blasé about that. But again, Freys, there's so many of them. It's hard to care about 3 that got killed.
Yeah, especially if they're not direct. There's all these factions inside the Freys.
Yeah.
Based on whose wife their mother was in Lord Walder's life.
And you have to think, if Big Walda is making this conclusion, that Roose Bolton is going to reach the same conclusion too. It's not going to be just the children who think of this. It's going to be, well, one of the reasons that Wyman Manderley dragged his heels was so they would ride on ahead, so that he could then dispatch them.
Yeah, and Ramsay asks Roose, do you believe him? And Roose's response is, did I give you that impression?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the chapter, when Roose is telling Reek why Ramsay should be afraid of the other lords, he mentions, he's going through the list of why these various lords should fear them. And he says, Lord Wyman, something about betrayal, plots betrayal or something like that.
Right.
So it does sound like he doesn't exactly believe him. So,
yeah.
But I would have never personally thought of it if not for this last Davos chapter, because to that point, Wyman had done all the right things and said all the right things.
Yeah.
So,
and only we were privy to that Davos chapter. The Freys certainly weren't.
yes,
the Boltons certainly aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a question about something that was said.
Yeah.
They mention, I think it's Roose specifically who mentions, it's Ramsay who mentions that Wyman Manderley brought no hostages, but there was never, as far as I recall, I don't remember ever hearing anything about Wyman supposed to be delivering hostages.
But
maybe,
yeah.
So let's act this out. Who do you want to be? You want to be Roose or Ramsay?
Sure, I'll be Roose. You can be Ramsay.
You'll be Roose, okay.
Yeah. So the dialogue goes like this. Roose says, Lord Wyman likes to eat. You may have noticed. Should I try that with an English accent?
That's your Roose Bolton. Okay, that's good. I like it. All right. So here's my Ramsay then. What I noticed was that he brought no hostages.
I noticed that as well.
What do you mean to do about it?
It is a quandary.
Very good. And see.
So that...
yeah, so I noticed you asked about it on the Discord
server.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think Jenny gave me the answer that we were looking for.
But I didn't see Jenny's answer, but I saw somebody else's answer, and they were saying that he thought they were referring to the Freys, which to me seems very strange that they would be referring to the Freys.
Because I wouldn't consider them hostages of the Manderleys.
Right. I assumed he was talking about something like, I want young relatives of yours to keep as wards so that you are loyal to me.
That is what Jenny suggested, just like Dany is doing with the Great Masters in Meereen. He didn't bring his heir, Willis. He didn't bring either of his granddaughters. No one that could be used as a hostage.
Right. Who can blame him? I mean, unless there was a directive to do so. And even then, I would make an excuse for them. We were getting bedrooms decorated.
Yeah, it's school. they got to get to class.
I do think that Ramsay is making sort of terrible decisions all over the place. I think his disregard for the stores of his vassal lords is an immensely dumb thing, because you can command loyalty by earning it, a la Stark, or by terrorizing people into it, a la Bolton, but wasting their hard-earned winter stores achieves only enmity and contempt. I mean, what else could it bring,
Right.
If they get through this winter, they'll remember why they were hungry.
Right, absolutely. And it's just one more example of the overall disregard for this long, hard winter that everyone is expecting throughout the realm. It's another notch in the side that the long night could be metaphorical, that the war has left the realm unprepared for this winter, which is going to cause a long night. I was thinking back to that Asha chapter at Deepwood Motte, when she was describing the fields around Deepwood Motte and how the Ironboard had destroyed the crops when they took the castle. Not intentionally, they just marched through them and squished them and destroyed them. And there's just another example of food that is not available to get through this long winter.
Yeah. The other thing that Ramsay's doing that's unforgivable. Well, not unforgivable to us, because this isn't his worst trait to us. It's probably his worst trait to his father, Roose, is he's cavalier about his culpability in his past crimes. Now, he has so many crimes that it's probably easy for him to be cavalier about them. But there are some that cannot be voiced to anyone. And twice in this chapter, he voices them. Fortunately, only in front of Reek and Roose.
Yes.
One of them we gave actually in the summary, but there was another very similar example where he admits to being the one to murder the Starks, which is just...
And sack Winterfell. Those are the two big ones.
And sacking Winterfell. Those are the two things, exactly. If either of those two things became common knowledge, the Boltons' veneer of power disappears there and then.
Yes, it's a very dangerous thing to be saying out loud in a keep that is not the Dreadfort.
Right.
Who knows who's lingering in earshot?
Yes. So the only thing is, I did wonder, is he just a complete idiot? Or is it in his father's presence he becomes more bungling, less confident of himself, and he makes that kind of mistake?
As you're saying that kind of makes me think of Tyrion around Tywin.
Yeah.
Always taking on this persona that gets him into trouble with Tywin, when really what he wants to do is impress Tywin. Maybe it's kind of like that Ramsay is saying these things, admitting to these things he did because he wants his father to be kind of proud and impressed. And really, Roose is like, stop talking about these things.
Right.
It makes me think that Roose doesn't know about the letters that Ramsay wrote to Asha and Jon and whomever else he sent them to, because, well, one, it's needlessly antagonizing foes and possibly bringing light to the truth of who Arya actually is, and then sending bits of skin is kind of equivalent of admitting that the Boltons are still practicing flaying, which, to the outside world they stopped doing hundreds of years ago. So, but Roose is not angry or disgusted at Ramsay's actions. He's more of just annoyed. He says this line, which I believe was in the summary, that Ramsay's amusements are his own and he's not going to chide him for it. So, do we think he knows about hunting women and killing innocent people like the poor goat herder at the beginning of this chapter? We definitely know that he knows about what Ramsay did to Danella Hornwood. The whole North knows about that.
Right. And I think the answer has to be yes to the original question, because he's got all these dogs who, unless he changed their names, have grown up with the names of women that he'd abused previously. So,
right. Yeah.
I think he's aware. And again, you're right. That doesn't sound very Ned Starky.
Well, and then as we find out in his conversation with Reek, that it's kind of unsurprising that he's not more disgusted and repulsed by the behavior, because we learn about how he raped Ramsay's mom under the swinging body of her hanged husband. And he doesn't say, I don't behave like you do, you psychopath. He says, there's never been tales told about me.
Right.
Implying that he might be just as depraved.
Yeah.
He's just better at hiding it.
It does feel a lot, the more we talk about him, the more it feels like he's like Tywin.
Yeah.
Just he's outwardly, he isn't a monster in terms of his depravities, but it's just because he's subtle at hiding them. He's not like Ramsay. He's got them, and he's done them and continues to do them and feels no remorse about them, but he keeps a tight lid on things like Tywin would. Yes,
it's all about PR.
Yeah.
What the outside world thinks of the family. Yeah. That's true. I did see the similarities there. Yeah.
So Roose alludes to the relationship between Lady Barbrey Dustin and the Boltons in this chapter. He says that Barrington is staunch for Bolton, largely because she, Lady Barbrey, still blames Ned Stark for her husband's death, and that happened during Robert's Rebellion, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Her sister was married to Roose, and Domeric was that sister's child. So Domeric, who died, is the direct nephew of Lady Barbrey. And she does not forgive Ramsay for that murder. It seems that Roose kind of has.
Yes, it seems like he does more so than Lady Barbrey. That's for sure.
So my question is, though, so I get it. He knows why she's loyal. She's loyal because she's sister-in-law, and she was fond of her sister and fond of her nephew. They're both dead. So that the tightness of that bond is not that strong anymore. And she really hates your heir. Like, won't let him darken her door. Yeah?
Right, yeah.
How much do you trust this woman?
It's an excellent question, and there are a lot of questions like that when it comes to Roose and Ramsay, because you just don't you never really can understand what Roose's stance on Ramsay is. Would he defend Ramsay if it was going to cost him the relationship with the Ryswells and the Dustins?
Right.
Or would he make him disappear if it came to that? Where does his allegiance lie? It's very unclear.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. I think, absent Ramsay, she's loyal to the Boltons and would be throughout. But because of Ramsay, she's probably thinking to herself, like Roose thinks himself, he's not long for this world. He's an old man by Westerosi standards. That's going to put Ramsay as Warden of the North?
Yeah.
I'd rather turn on the Boltons now than let that happen, you know?
Yes. And later in this chapter, he's talking to Reek about how he believes that Ramsay will kill any future siblings that he has. And like you said, he seems to be okay with it because he says he's too old to see a new heir grow up from to adulthood. It's really confounding because then it like in that same paragraph, he says he doesn't believe that Ramsay can actually rule. And then also he's fine with him killing these future rival siblings.
Yeah.
And then he says, Theon says that he's Roose's only son, that Ramsay's Roose's only son. And Ramsay's response is, for the moment, which makes us right back to, where is he going with this?
So the question I have is, Roose brought Reek to meet Lady Barbrey. Presumably, that's because the plan that is hatching, this is just a logical conclusion, it's not a spoiler, is that Theon will be the one to vouch for Jane Poole being Arya. Because he's one of the very few people who definitely knows what Arya Stark looks like.
Right.
And so if he vouches for it, it provides legitimacy to the whole thing. For him to bring Reek to Lady Barbrey suggests that she knows what this is about. If that is the plan, what else are you introducing this stinking fella to her for, other than to say, look, I told you I've got the guy we need?
Unless Barbrey doesn't know that this girl isn't actually Arya. They're going to make
he's saying, we need to prove this is Arya. It is Arya, and the one person who can vouch for it is this guy here. I see. But it made me wonder, how often did Lady Barbrey visit Winterfell?
Probably not often, because she did not care for the Starks.
She didn't care for the Starks. That's come in handy right now, hasn't it?
Does.
So she wouldn't
really
know
does.
what Arya looked like either.
Yes, it fits the plot quite well.
Okay, so all right. All that hangs together then. Basically, she just needed someone. He needed someone to vouch for the fact that Arya was Arya, in case there were doubters. I see. So he didn't let out the plan. Okay.
I mean, we don't know, but that it's possible that she just doesn't know that this girl is not Arya.
Yeah.
Of House Stark.
I'm with you though about Roose's reaction to Ramsay's fratricide and future fratricide as well. You know.
Yeah.
That he's astonishingly relaxed about that, and I could kind of get it if this child Ramsay was some paragon of virtue that you wanted as your heir. You know, if he was a Jaime Lannister in his prime, you'd be like,
yes,
kill all your siblings. I don't need them. I've got you, kind of thing, you know?
Right, yeah.
But this is Ramsay Bolton. I mean, this is like the worst of the worst. You couldn't possibly want this guy to be your heir.
Exactly. And he talks out of both sides of his mouth the whole time, back and forth. And we know Roose is a calculating, cunning man. He's not just going to be like, this is what I got, you know? I got what I got.
And of course that's exactly what he's saying. And then it occurred to me, the one thing that occurred to me was he knows what Ramsay said to Reek when Ramsay unchained Reek. He said, tell him nothing and report back everything he says to you. So Roose knows that whatever he says to Reek is going to get back to Ramsay. So perhaps this is a story he's feeding to Reek to tell Ramsay.
Yes. That could be, because you're right. He guessed it. He asked Reek, what did Ramsay tell you? And Reek couldn't spit out the words. And he said, never mind. I know what he told you. And he got it exactly right.
Exactly right.
Don't say anything and report back everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so maybe
but that's subtle if that's what he's doing, because hearing that, I'd be like, on some levels I'd be hurt. I'd be like, oh, he doesn't really love me. He's just sort of settling for me. But he is settling for me, you know? And he's okay with me killing his future children. Great. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
I can check all those boxes.
I can do all that. Done and done.
Yeah. And one thing, I've heard mention of this before, that people have said that Roose might be a vampire. Because I've been paying attention to that since I heard it. Someone just speculated that Roose was actually a vampire. Yeah. He does talk about blood a lot. Like, all the time he talks about blood. And he doesn't eat very much either, which kind of like, those two things do give you a vampire-y feel to him. And the way you acted him, can I add, that's just really added to it. You know?
I'm
like
sure.
Bela Lugosi.
I think that's the whole Bolton vibe, is vampire-like. So one of the conversations that Roose and Ramsay have while Reek is spectating all this is the reemergence of Bran and Rickon. That's the other kid, right?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the fella.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty sure. Only because he's coming back into the story, otherwise.
Right, yeah. We've heard his name a few times in the past couple chapters, so... and that his fear is that their already begrudging allies might just completely bail on them if the truth is revealed. And I'd have to say, that's if it was revealed that they faked the death of the two Stark boys, and here Rickon shows up, that's going to be a problem.
Mystic Roose has looked into his crystal ball and seen the bleedingly obvious. Yes, they would be like... Hell no, we're not tolerating this.
And they should be extra worried because Davos is on the case.
Yeah.
And Davos does not fail. He will come through with this.
Like a terrier.
That's right.
And that's where Ramsay blabs about being responsible for their deaths. You know, it says that he kills them. And he said, and if they show up again, I'll kill them again. It's like, be careful what you say. And really that undermines the previous thing you said as well.
Yes, right. And it's been a while. So the way Ramsay's role in their fake deaths was that, remember, the Stark boys escaped with Hodor and Osha. Sorry. No, not the Ironborn, but the Wildling.
That's why the show changed their name.
That's right. Yara. So when they all escaped and Theon and his people could not find them, Ramsay created this plan to kill these nearby Miller boys who were of an age to Bran and Rickon.
And at the time, Ramsay was pretending to be Reek, right?
Yes, he was.
And he was Theon's servant as Reek at the time. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And tar these two boys' heads and pretend like they were the Stark boys. And then Ramsay, as Reek, killed all of the Ironborn who were involved in that plot and knew the truth. So the only two people left who know the truth are the current Reek and the now Ramsay. And the current Reek could not even bring himself to think about the truth of what happened with the Stark boys in this chapter when it came up.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few other people who know that story isn't true, but they don't know it directly. For example, Bran and Rickon.
Yes. Hodor, Jojen.
Those people, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, Mira, Osha.
So, the Roose provides Ramsay with news that Stannis has taken Deepwood March, didn't march on the Dreadfort as hoped, because they were trying to lure him into doing that by Arnulf Karstark suggesting that it would be ill-defended, and
yes,
he might have done it, but for Jon, right? Jon was the one who talked him out of it. He said
Deepwood Motte is the better, safer target, and
and
it's a good thing.
There's here there's this. Well, I mean, first of all, yes, there's a sense it was a trap at the Dreadfort for sure, but also a little begrudging respect here for Stannis, I think, for having done the right thing despite being lured into the wrong thing, just a little bit.
And that's news to us, because to this point we thought that Arnulf Karstark had pledged to Stannis and was Stannis's man.
Right.
And so it sounds like Arnulf, it's hard for me to say his name, Arnulf, is a bit of a double agent here, which we've been discussing in spoilers for a while, that his fealty to Stannis was false. But Stannis needs to be wary of all of his northern fealty, because the Umbers are playing both sides as well.
Right.
So,
but the Umbers are doing it less subtly. They're basically in two factions, yes.
Yeah, right. Yes, they're admitting that they're playing both sides at some level here.
Yeah.
But Arnulf is not the Lord of Karhold. He is just the Castellan. The Lord is Harrion, his nephew, who's currently a captive of Randall Tarley in Maidenpool. So it was a bit of a dangerous game siding with Stannis, because it could have caused harm to Harrion because he's in Lannister captivity. But it seems like it was a ruse to trick Stannis, so we have to hope that
you'd be very unlucky.
Know that.
Yeah, if your actual allies killed your son because they thought you were betraying them when actually you were doing a double cross. Yes, that would be unlucky.
Exactly. But we were in Cersei's head a lot in Feast for Crows, and that never came up. So we hopefully are good there.
Yeah. They decide to change the wedding venue to cement the image of him as Lord of the North by having him marry Arya at Winterfell. The optics are good, and perhaps they can start to rebuild Winterfell a little bit. I have to say, I'm a little bit relieved, because I believe that you've had to edit out me saying, and they're going to get married at Winterfell like 12 times in the last few weeks.
It has come up a few times, yes.
So, for me, they were always getting married at Winterfell. It's the place for a winter wedding.
Yeah, and it further delays their attack on Stannis, which is it's a fundamental difference here between Ramsay and Roose. Ramsay almost jumps out of his seat and says, let's go right now. I'll marry the girl. I'll plant a son in her, and we will go attack Stannis. And Roose is like, no, calm down. We're going to make Stannis march on Winterfell, because he's not going to have a choice, because the mountain clans have joined his side, and there's no way they're going to let Ned's precious daughter be held captive in Winterfell. So he's going to have to siege this castle, and he's going to be joined by his new allies, such as the Karstarks.
You got to say, though, the temptation, if you're Roose, and what you said about, I really like Ramsay. He's killed one of my children. He's going to kill all the rest of them, but he's going to be my heir, and is actually a lie. You might want to say, yeah, sure, knock yourself out when he offers to go. Please, knock yourself out. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be one way of getting rid of him.
And so the sort of like the end game of all of this, what's going to happen at the end of this, the unwritten stuff is Jane Poole is actually going to be on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, all right.
So
she'll at least be sitting at the Lady of Winterfell.
At least Lady of Winterfell, yeah. But come on, who stops there?
Right.
We get the original Reek and Ramsay backstory. When Roose learned of Ramsay's existence, he had this boy, Reek, who was one of the cleanest people he ever met. He bathed all the time and wore perfumes. But
3 times a day.
he had a bad smell on him. And funnily enough, actually, I always remember this. We had a lecture when I was doing my degree about a guy whose arm smelled, and they could not cure this, and it was just his arm that smelled. And he genuinely, in the 20th century, thought about having his arm amputated because it really stank and it was really nasty.
Wow.
I know.
Do you know how it ended? Did he
He didn't get his arm amputated. He hadn't at the time, but they hadn't cured it. It still stank. It was
fascinating. I actually thought to myself I should look up and see if this is an actual disorder.
Well, I've heard of one similar case, but it was just the guy's arm, not all of him. So yes, people occasionally do have a bad smell about them. Poor Reek had that, tried everything he could, including drinking perfume, which nearly killed him. So he gets sent to be Ramsay's playmate by Roose as a joke, but they become fast friends. And actually, he's curious whether Reek made Ramsay rotten, or just Ramsay was rotten and Reek's presence just helped things along, catalyzed that.
Yeah. And it seems like Ramsay is trying to recreate the old Reek with Theon, almost like some sort of odd security blanket, like that, almost like that familiar stench generates fond memories.
Yeah.
You know?
But the problem is if this was a human stench that he was given off, none of this making him sleep with the pigs is going to make him smell that way. It's just going to make him smell.
Make him stink. Yeah. Different. Yeah, not the right stink, though. You're right. I'm sure it would be different. But there might possibly be some guilt as well, because Ramsay caused Reek's death when he had the two of them switch clothes, and for Reek to take Ramsay's horse, and then Roderick killed Reek thinking that he was killing Ramsay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. By that time, Ramsay was pretty unrepentantly rotten. There was no good left in him at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Speaking of Ramsay's companions, we get a revelation that his companions secretly inform on him to Roose. All his cronies that he runs with.
Yes. Yeah, that is interesting. And dangerous, too. Can you imagine being asked to do that? I mean,
I thought the same thing. If Ramsay finds out, oh man, there's going to be a whole crew of Reeks.
Yeah, that's true. Those are the lucky ones. There'll be some dogs called after them.
But we also get Ramsay's origin story, which is, we've alluded to it multiple times in this chapter. It's horrible. His mother was raped beneath her husband's hanged body. And like I said, it just shows the true monster that Roose is. He's just better at hiding it and has better impulse control than his son. And his whole motto is peaceful land and quiet people. And I think what he means is, I silence anyone who knows any of the truths about who I truly am.
Yeah.
And his quiet, calm nature and courtesy, is another level to hide the true Roose beneath.
Yeah, true enough. So, Theon, Reek, defends. I wanted to separate him from the other Reek at this point. Defends Ramsay. He says to Roose, he contradicts Roose. He says he's strong, he's fearless, and he fights for you, is what Reek says of Ramsay, and reminds him that he's your only son. These are just things I wouldn't say to Roose. I wouldn't say anything to Roose. I'd pretend I'd had my tongue removed before I'd speak to Roose. I'd be too terrified. But Reek is actually brave in defending Ramsay, which is disturbing on many, many levels.
Yeah, when I read that, I wondered what caused him to defend Ramsay. Like he was already not sure what to say about pretty much anything. Well, and here he willingly defends him. It can't be Stockholm Syndrome. We know there's no love there. It's certainly out of fear more than any type of affection.
I've said it before on the pod, but Stockholm Syndrome is misnamed, yes?
Oh.
Do you remember this?
I vaguely do, yes.
It was a bank heist in Stockholm with captives for a while. The police came in firing guns, and lots of people, the robbers and the captives ended up getting killed in quite large numbers.
Yeah,
and the survivors blamed the cops for coming in blazing guns. They weren't sympathizing with their captors. They just thought it was a really stupid way to save them, to shoot at them.
Yeah.
So it's
reckless.
Slightly misnamed. It was they were never turned into brainwashed fans of their own tormentors. That's what's happened to Reek. So
yeah, but he's not a fan, right? Like,
but he is. He's a defender. I mean, he's so broken down by him that he's his only fixed point in the world, and he wants the best for Ramsay.
Probably just so that Ramsay is happy and doesn't want to hurt Reek.
Nothing else,
Yeah.
Well, that's good enough. How about some spoilers, Mackelly? Remember, you can join the upper tiers of the Buy Me a Coffee sustainers and get the spoilers. Get them while they're hot. All right. Excellent spoilers, as usual. Thank you, Mackelly. How about some background?
I feel a little pressure in those spoilers because, we've got a whole new audience opening up here.
I know, right?
Spoiler listeners.
It's funny. It is funny how I am much more relaxed in spoilers because I know the audience is smaller.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It feels a little more intimate.
We just become more casual. Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. Ties straightened.
Up. Yeah.
Background. What do you got?
Well, okay, so Ramsay is annoyed that his feast for returning empty-handed is held at Goldgrass Keep, the seat of Petty Lord Harwood Stout. He'd have preferred he and his hunters be toasted at Barrow Hall, the castle in Barrowton, and seat of Lady Dustin. Now, I don't know much about House Stout, but here's what I can tell you. Lord Harwood, the one-armed head of House Stout,
did he have two before the feast started with Ramsay's dogs?
Yeah, I think that other arm was already missing.
Okay. Keep going.
Unless that's the bones that the dogs were fighting over. Well, Harwood owes fealty to the Dustins, as his keep is inside the walls of Barrowton. Now, House Stout is a very old house with roots dating back to the first men, as indicated by the short, blunt surname Stout, which is not too dissimilar from Stark. So you can tell they're both rather old houses.
Okay.
The Stout sigil, not the Stark sigil, the Stout sigil is a chevron pattern with russet and gold interchanging. Now, we've actually met another Stout. Well, sort of anyway. Ancient Sir Winton Stout of the Night's Watch was nominally in command of Castle Black when Bowen Marsh rode to the Shadow Tower.
Oh, yeah.
We were told back then he was once within a dozen votes of being named Lord Commander, but after 80 years as a Night's Watch Ranger, his memory isn't what it once was, and he seemed to have forgotten the appointment, so men like Donald Noy and then Jon Snow filled in as acting Castellan until Marsh returned.
Nice. Yeah, I remember Winton Stout now, yeah. Good callback. Compared with the television show, a fair bit of Reek's story stayed close. He did help to win Moat Cailin, that was the last chapter, but the Faria Jane Poole story was completely dropped. Roose and Ramsay head for Winterfell just because that's the spiritual home of the North. Roose does try to cement his position by marrying Ramsay to a highly unwilling Sansa Stark. That her story had diverged considerably at that point too.
Right.
So the stories are going to come back together a bit because Theon and Jane's relationship is going to be a little bit like Theon and Stannis' relationship.
Sansa.
Theon and Sansa's relationship. Too many.
We'll see what kind of relationship maybe Stannis and Theon might have. That would be an interesting.
Pedantry, I didn't really see anything. There's plenty of things that got me wondering, but none of it. It's all character decisions and plots or plots within plots, but nothing pedantry.
Agree.
News and notes.
Well, so someone put Dolorous Ed in charge of a new Snow White film. Ben Crompton, who played Ed,
old friend.
Yes, that's right, on the Game of Thrones, and did a fantastic cameo video for us.
Oh, he did.
Directed a film, which is actually a ballet production called Snow White, the Sacrifice. It's described as a dark, gritty version of the classic tale with a modern twist that comments on today's image-obsessed culture. Apparently it debuted on a streamer called Marquee TV on September 1st. I'm not familiar with that.
That sounds very Dolorous Ed, actually.
It does, yes. Maybe that's why.
Ballet of Snow White, but I'm going to make it really miserable.
Right.
As we mentioned, the spoiler discussion has now been expanded to a more affordable tier of the Buy Me a Coffee Sustainer, so go get it. And
that's right. And speaking of that,
go on.
Enzo went out and did what you just said. We have a new Buy Me a Coffee Sustainer. Enzo has joined our ranks at the Landed Knight level, which gets Enzo the spoilers.
Nice.
So there you go, Enzo. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you, Enzo. And we got a review from Terry on podchaser.com. There are a lot of podcasts that feature Game of Thrones content, but this is one of the best. The hosts do thorough research, have a natural delivery style, and offer intriguing insights into the books and TV show. They are excellent in every way. Well, thank you, Terry. We appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you very much, Enzo. And Enzo, we look forward to interacting with you on the Sustainer calls that the Landed Knights are included in. So welcome to the spoilery, and we look forward to interacting with you. And Terry, thank you for the wonderful review. We appreciate those as always.
All right, let's wrap this one up. So has Wyman Manderley followed through on the plan that he hinted to Davos that he was going to?
Sure seems like it.
I really liked your theory that the gift of the horses ended the guest rights, and so he was now off the hook. I liked that.
Yeah, you remember that was it was very deliberately mentioned. I'm giving them guest gifts, which means guest right is over. But it's good to see some Freys get some just dessert here. We've not seen much of it since Merritt was hanged in the Storm of Swords epilogue, which is Little Walder's father and Fat Walda's father. So
so actually, and the funny thing about that one was it was kind of tragic. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, right.
Of all the Freys,
he was kind of a tragic figure because we were in his head, so we got to see his thoughts.
So Ramsay definitely has a loose tongue, and I've got to think that if he isn't more careful with that, it's ultimately going to cost the Boltons. I will be listening very carefully for what he blabs in front of people.
Yes.
It's like one of those typical TV cop shows where somebody says, mentions the murder weapon, but the cop never said what the murder weapon was. It's that kind of thing.
Like, I never said it was the candlestick.
Exactly.
And Roose has very hard to understand feelings about his only son. I do not know what he actually thinks.
Let's put it this way. Roose expresses some very hard to understand feelings about his only son.
Yes.
He may have very different feelings about that.
That is a good distinction, yes. What we get is he knows Ramsay's a depraved psychopath. Is he okay with him as his heir? We know that he believes that Ramsay killed his only son. Is he okay with that? We know that he believes Ramsay's going to kill any future children he has. Okay?
How callous do you have to be to not care about that?
All right.
I mean, there are lions in the Serengeti who would balk at that kind of thing.
Right. But we know he is calculating and cunning, so he must, like you said, internally, he must have some idea of what he thinks.
Maybe. I'm throwing it out there as a possibility. Honestly, I think he's expressing his true feelings, but I just think that maybe I'm underestimating it. Maybe he's got the wherewithal to feed Reek a line that he thinks Ramsay would want to hear, denying the truth that lies underneath it. Yeah. But I don't know.
That's true. I had not thought of that aspect, but that does make some sense.
And as you pointed out, Reek is Ramsay's man fully, but for always?
Well, he's free of Ramsay for the moment, but will Roose protect Theon for whatever purpose he is needed? We don't know what that purpose is yet. Maybe he plans on having that King Tommen, not that he can have King Tommen do something, but maybe he's got this plan where King Tommen will decree that Theon Greyjoy is the Lord of the Iron Islands, and this will work in some plan that Roose has.
To have someone who's bent to the Bolton's will as the head of the Iron Islands.
Could
interesting.
Be,
yeah. And what are Lady Dustin and Lord Bolton planning? It seems that this is around the wedding that Theon's required for.
It makes more sense than my Lord of Iron Islands theory.
But I like that as a sort of long-term plan for him. That doesn't involve Barbrey Dustin necessarily, but could be what Roose Bolton is thinking of long-term. But you've convinced me. I was concerned that Roose would have had to share the truth about Faria with Barbrey Dustin, and I thought that was crazy. But you've convinced me. No. You just say this is Arya, and then you get Theon to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wonder, will Roose start protecting Theon to make sure he is sane enough to know, don't undo that, All
right. Well, next time we have a Tyrion chapter, and we always look forward to Tyrion chapters.
That we do.
Yep. There's 3 ways that you can help us out. You could leave us a positive review and a 5-star rating, as Terry did. You could buy us a cup of Arbor Gold at buymeacoffee.com/ghostharrenhal. Become a sustainer at any of the various levels. There's a tier to match your budget and interest, and more of the tiers get you the spoilers than they used to, and Enzo took advantage thereof. Or you can donate directly to our cause through our website, ghostsofharrenhal.buzzsprout.com.
And if you're looking for more ways to interact with us, well, the first thing you could do is you could send us a text. The link is at the top of every episode's show notes. Just please keep in mind, we don't have a means of responding, but we do enjoy reading them, especially when you say nice things. If you're interested in keeping up on the latest Ghosts of Harrenhal news and developments, well, I suggest you check us out on our social media. You can follow us on Twitter at Ghost Harrenhal. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, where we always have a good time, and YouTube.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.